Well, welcome back to the Cheron Moore Show, a segment I call Extraordinary Drummers. Today, you see the man right here. I don't have to introduce him, lady.
What up?
Gorden Campbell, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, Gorden.
What's up? How you doing,
man.
Cheron?
Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
We're here at Gordon's studio, and tell us a little bit about, first of all, what are we looking at here in your studio?
All right. Well, here in the studio, this is what we call a control room. I have basically a console that I really don't even use that much anymore. I use it for playback, O2R, and then some outboard gear. Those are my mic pre's that I run my drums through. But yeah, basically I use it to run my drums through and cut vocals and horns, whatever. And these mic pre's, and it's the control center and the computer.
Now you're from, is it you was born in New Haven, but you was raised in Newburgh?
Yeah, Newburgh.
Yeah,
Newburgh, New York.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad, me and my sister were both born in Yale University Hospital in New Haven, Connecticut. And I don't think I was a year yet when they moved back to Newburgh. That's where my mom was from.
Oh, okay.
From Newburgh. So we ended up going back to Newburgh. That's where I grew up.
I read you started playing drums at 5 years old.
Yep. That's what they tell me. I don't even remember.
What were you doing? What you did? Hit no pots and
I don't
pans?
even remember. They told me, yeah. Like pots and pans. There's a picture of me in front of a Christmas tree. They had bought me a toy drum set when I was 5. And I think they told me I broke it the same day. Because I found it. I woke up before my parents did Christmas Day, and it was already set up. So I started playing it. They were still asleep. So they took the sticks away. So I went and found some hangers. I don't remember this. This is what they told me. I went and found some hangers. And back then, the fake drum sets had paper heads.
Right, paper heads.
Them hangers went right through the heads. So I literally broke it the same day. But our church, my mom's dad's church was right next door to our house. So I was always there, and they would let me play for the... It started out with the youth choir whenever they would play. Whenever they would sing, which was every Sunday, they would sing one song. I would go up and play the drums for them. And as the older boys stopped coming to church or moved away or whatever, then I was just the drummer. I just was the de facto... Because I was there. You know what I mean?
How did you get out and start working around town and making a name for yourself around as you got older, got into the teenage years and whatnot?
Well, growing up in a Church of God in Christ household, they strict. So and Newburgh is a small city, so it wasn't like a lot of clubs and all that stuff. But there were actually, when I was still in elementary school, I played at one of the concerts. And they had like a little stage band, so I had to do a little solo on the drum set. And some guy came up to my mom and offered me, like, we want him to play in our band. And it was like a polka band or something. They played polka music. And I don't know why I didn't do it. Probably my mom just said no, whatever. But after that, I started playing with gospel groups. One group was called Shining Light. But also in church, we go to conventions all the time. So growing up, even younger than that, we would go to different cities every summer for Church of God in Christ convention. And that's actually how I met a lot of the guys playing now, like Sput from Snarky Puppy and Lil Mike Mitchell. Well, I met Mike later. He's a lot younger. But Doobie Powell, who's a drummer on like Kimberell stuff. Who else? It was a bunch of cats. Yeah. But we all came up, and we're from all different parts of the country. But because we were in the same type of church denomination, we would meet up, and we were all drummers, so we became friends.
Gorden, let me ask you about leaving Newburgh and the formidable years and getting towards college. How was that transition, coming from home and now you're getting to college?
Right. Well, I mean, it's always a transition because I never lived anywhere else outside of, my parents' home. The cool thing about my mom and dad, they made sure me and my sister would go away for the summer, like summer camp, and so it wasn't the first time I was like away from my parents. So it wasn't too bad, And as an 18-year-old, you're trying to get away anyway, so you can do what you want to do. So for me, leaving New York and Newburgh and going to D.C., It was easy.
Now you went to Harvard, right?
Howard University.
Howard. That's what it was. Howard.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Howard. A lot of soul over there.
Yeah, and the cool thing about DC is a lot of music. Like everybody would come through. Like Miles Davis was still alive when I got there in '89, so he would play Blues Alley. Of course, like Wynton Marsalis. Who else? Like everybody, whoever was out touring would come through DC, and they had a lot of big festivals and stuff. So from the gospel side and the jazz side, and it was just a great city to be in. And really, that's where I started playing out in clubs. When you were asking me earlier about playing out, that's when I got in a band that would play at a club every Friday night. And I really started learning about playing in a band situation outside of gospel music. Yeah.
What were some of the courses you took in college?
Well, my major was jazz studies at Howard. Okay. So I took like ear training, sight singing, which helps your ear out. They'll play something, you got to be able to hear the chord if it's diminished. If it's minor, if it's half diminished, if it's a 13th, if it's 11th, you kind of learn all stuff, and you have to learn it. You learn the theory of it, but you also learn how to hear it, in the ear training. Then I took, of course, a theory class, jazz improv.
I do notice you do play Yamaha drums, huh?
Most definitely. Yamaha drums, Zildjian cymbals, you see?
Yes, sir.
Remo drum heads. I love these things. Drum dots. Really dope. It takes the place of tape. What else? Vic Firth. I just switched to Vic Firth sticks.
What I wanted to talk to you about in this segment, Gordon, was one of the things was your style of playing. Mm-hmm. Now, without me showing you, notice your kit is set up right-handed.
Yep.
The hi-hat over there. That is. Just in case y'all know what a hi-hat is.
Right.
But you play left-handed.
Yeah.
Where you're playing with your left hand doing the riding, and your right hand doing 2 and 4 or whatever the snare is doing.
Yep.
Can you show us a little bit of that?
Yeah, sure.
Why? How did that come about?
You gotta ask God. I don't know. I really don't know. That's how I always played. I don't know why I started playing like that. I haven't the slightest. And maybe I kind of think that I'm left-handed. I write with my right hand. But everything else, like I eat, I brush my teeth, play drums, pretty much left-handed. But I don't know. I think I might be actually left-handed. But, in school, they probably just made me write with my right hand. They put the pencil and so I'm kind of like ambidextrous now. But yeah, as long as I can remember, I've only played. I didn't even realize that it was wrong. I knew it was different because the other kids at the other churches, everybody was playing like that. But I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. I just didn't even think about it.
Do you ever get over to the other side where you get the hi-hat with the right hand? Never do.
I tried it once. Once. And that's it. I can do the kick pedal okay, but that opening and closing the hi-hat with my right foot, nah. I don't even remember where I was. I just sat on somebody's kit. Let me try this. I played literally less than 1 minute. It was like, nah, this ain't gonna work.
Have you ever tried to put the hi-hat on the left side?
I can't do it.
Because then it would be playing left-handed, which is what you naturally are. But you'll be playing the other way.
But when you think about it, and this is what a lot of people tell me, it makes more sense playing drums like this. Because your hands aren't crossing. So when I want to do something, I don't have to worry about like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to put my hi-hat real high, and I got to worry about my sticks hitting each other. So technically, well, in theory, it makes more sense to play open than it does to play cross. You know what I'm saying? But I honestly never thought about it. I never thought about it one iota.
Do you remember the first time it happened?
No.
When you were young playing drums, did you play overhand with the
I always play like this.
You always played like that?
Always.
And when you was coming up, did anybody ever say, yo, man, that's wrong. What you doing?
And that's what I'm saying. Nobody ever told me. The first time somebody told me that was wrong was when I auditioned at Howard. The band director was like, man, that's wrong. You can't play like that. And I was like, well, this is how I've been playing. And at this point, I was playing in a group. I was playing all the big conventions. And they were doing recordings every year. They would do live. So I was playing on live. I was doing stuff, like professional level stuff in high school. Nobody ever said it was wrong. Everybody always said how good I played. So I was like, man, I didn't even realize that that was wrong. You know. So.
When you were, I can ask this, when you playing, do you ever have to think of the mechanics different? Because with the hand over, in that case, the left hand will lead more. If you can get what I'm saying, do you have to think of approach differently also?
It's not different because that's the only way I've ever know how to play.
That's true. That's
so
true.
I'm just playing just the way anybody else.
Yeah.
The only time I had to think of it a little differently was when I had a crew called Rhythm Alliance, which was Aaron Spears, Gerald Hayward, Marvin McQuitty, Nissan Stewart, and Teddy Campbell, and me. And we were doing stuff where we were playing together. And I could probably find some footage to show you. So when we were doing these licks together, like, all of our hands had to be the same. And actually marching band too, when I was at Howard, instead of playing like a left-hander would play, I had to learn how to play. So it's sloppy now. Cause I played snare drum for my freshman year. I had to play right-handed as opposed to left-handed. But drum set wise was when we did Rhythm Alliance and we started doing these fills and our hands all had to be the same. I had to make myself play the way they were playing. I had to play right-handed lead as opposed to left-handed lead on the fills so we can all do it together. You know what I'm saying? But outside of doing that, where I'm doing it with another drummer and we're like trying to be perfect, when I'm just playing by myself, this is my natural. So it's nothing to think about. I'm just playing. Now I do work out licks. Like I do work out if I'm doing. If my hand's gonna go over, under. I think about that type of stuff, but that's not necessarily left hand, right hand. That's just how do I hit this without hitting the stick, you know? Or I do like that. Stuff like that. I work out like, okay, this is gonna or. I figure out like that, but it's not really right or left. I'm not thinking right or left. I'm just thinking right. You know.
But do you notice that you're bringing the stick over opposed to across? Like this, well, you're bringing it over. Like with your wrist.
Some of that stuff is just for look. It looks better if somebody's watching because I can just go. And part of it, I'm over-exaggerating because I'm demonstrating. So I'm demonstrating how I would do it. So I over-exaggerate. But some of the stuff, I do just because it looks cool. You know what I'm saying? It's still show business. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. What's the thought pattern of playing past the one? I see a lot of you, not you guys, but a lot of guys play past the one, and they're not playing 1, 2, 3, 4. They play E-annas now. Everything is in the E-anna, and even if there's something even tighter than that.
Yeah.
What is that thought pattern in that, and how does that work?
It's really just syncopation
Okay.
to me. But playing over the one, it's just, for me, and this is what I try to teach the students where I've been teaching, you got to always know where one is, and it's got to be inside you. And it's really, I'm learning more, as I'm teaching, I'm like learning more about myself and then drums in general. But what I'm really learning, because I'll show them a beat, and they'll play it, but it just don't feel right. Or they'll just be barely making it through. And what I realize is the beat has to be inside your body. Like that metronome has to be inside you, and then it comes out through your hands. So playing over the one, it's like I always know where one is. I can play like 1, 2, and I most of the time I try to make my students count out loud for practice sake when we're practicing 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 4. So if I play with a bar, I still know where one is. You know what I'm saying? Everybody else will be confused because they're not necessarily counting. So, but when I'm playing live, I'm not counting 1, 2, 3, 4. It's just I have that internal clock going all the time. So that's where that playing over the one for me. And it's just sometimes when I feel it, sometimes I want to drop it. the song will tell me what I need to play. It dictates what I'm gonna play. But technically, it's me counting. I always know where one is, so I can hit anywhere. And a lot of the stuff now, a lot of cats are playing. Syncopation.
Who are some of the guys that inspire you as a young man to want to play drums? Who are some of the drummers?
Definitely Joel Smith was number one. You know, I grew up listening to gospel, so Joel Smith, Michael Williams from Commission, Jeff Davis, Gerald Hayward, Dana Davis from the Winans, Bill Maxwell, Mike Newble. I listen to a lot. Who else? There was a couple more guys, but those are the main. Like anybody that had music that had a drummer, I was just listening to it. And then my cousin, who's kind of way older than me, he was playing with a famous gospel artist in New York named Timothy Wright. I would go to his house, and he had all these Billy Cobham records. And I was like, who is that? I see him on the cover with a drum set. So I don't think he ever gave me a record, but he told me who he was. So I went to the record store and found a Billy Cobham record. I didn't even know which one. I just bought one. And it was Billy Cobham with Glass Menagerie. And that album is amazing. So Billy Cobham on the jazz side. Then I started getting into Omar Hakim. I wanted to say my album's coming out soon, too. By the summertime, my record will be, I don't even know what the name of the album is yet, but I'm writing. It's going to be featuring a whole bunch of singers and artists and everything.
What kind of stuff is it going to be?
Like jazzy, hip-hop-ish, R&B-ish. It's a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
A little bit of like kind of fusion-y, but real funky. Everything I do has got to have some funk on it. You know, I'm a funk dude, so.
Earlier you spoke about a video too, some videos that you was working on.
Yeah, I do have a instructional drum DVD that came out in 2011. It's called Secrets of the Working Drummer. That's with a live band. George Duke played on there. Basically, a lot of the drum DVDs always talk about technique and how to hold a stick, but I want to talk about music. Like, all right, when I'm on a gig, this is what I do. Like, when I do clinics, people go, what's your in-ears? What's that in your ear? What are your headphones? What are you listening to? That kind of basic stuff, nobody ever really talks about. So that's what I talk about on the DVD.
Gorden, I noticed that that's the Dreamgirls Platinum album you're standing in front of.
Oh, yeah.
Don't remember what it is, huh?
Right. This thing? Oh, man.
This little...
Right.
Platinum is what, $1 million?
Yeah.
This little thing?
Uh-huh.
Tell me about it. You did some playing on that, huh?
Yeah, I did. With some other drummers, with Harvey Mason, Tony Moore played on there, Ricky Lawson played on there, and Teddy Campbell. Teddy Campbell played on it also. For me, they called me. I did probably maybe 2 or 3 weeks of recording. And, of course, Dreamgirls, was already a play on Broadway, so the songs were already done. We just redid it and put, like, a little new flair on it. I just started putting together a documentary on the evolution of gospel drumming, like where it started and to where it is now. And I'm going to also talk about a lot of what people think is gospel drumming is really not. And I actually teach a class at MI on the evolution of gospel drumming. And most people think now that's not from church or not from gospel. They think gospel is chops. And that's not what it's about. There's actual purpose to the playing, and it's mostly pocket. If you buy any record, any gospel album that's out now, from Kirk Franklin to Byron Cage, it's music. It's pocket. It's not chops. There's no solos on any of them records. So people just got the wrong idea, and I want to set the record straight.
You had a great relationship with George, huh?
Oh, yeah,
George
that was
Duke.
my man.
Yeah.
Big brother. And he taught me a lot musically, too. Well, for one, me, I guess, kind of being like him, I like all styles of music.
this next segment, I want to talk to you about endorsements.
Okay.
A lot of guys, their careers happening, they popping, they out there, and they want to have a relationship with the company's equipment or gear that they're using.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say to that? When is the best time, and how do they go about it, and what do they need to do that?
I think from where I am now, the best time is when you get a really big gig and the companies come looking for you. Because they get so many people hitting them up on a daily basis that has a gig in their mind is big. They think it's big and they're hitting them up. I'm playing with such and such. We got this TV show. Can you give me an endorsement? They get that every day, all day. But when it's somebody doing a big gig and they come looking for you, it's better because now you have a little leverage.
Let's talk about your body of work.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just read some of the credits?
All right, I get it.
Now, as I said in other shows, most drummers would like to have just one of these names on their resume.
Right.
Let me just read a few of them to you. Earth, Wind & Fire, George Duke, Herbie Hancock, Stanley Clark, Mary J. Blige, Jessica Simpson, Regina Bell, just on and on, Gerald Albright, Cuba Gooding Sr.
Mm-hmm.
Was that everybody? Woo, that must have been fun playing that.
Yeah, I just did a record with him. I just played drums
sweet.
on it. He wasn't even there. Sorry, I
sweet.
just played on his record.
Hey, I counted all joy still.
Uh-huh.
Tell me about Earth, Wind & Fire alone, that pocket with Verdine. What was that like?
That was really cool because that's a big band and you got to be able to, they always say you got to be able to drive the ship. Like, you got to drive the ship. And that's where I think a lot of my aggressive, I kind of knew already just from years of playing, but that's where you really realize you control the band. The drummer really controls the band. If we're playing and I go like, everybody's going to break down just because I broke down. I know that power. And that's what I always tell drummers that I'm teaching too, like, we have a lot of power. If I start speeding up or slowing down, they're going to speed up or slow down. You know what I'm saying? Everybody listens to the drum. It's even to the point, if I'm playing, and if I just stop, if I drop a stick, or if I just stop, everybody's like, the beat, it's almost like they fall apart. So with that band, I really learned that I'm driving the ship, and I got to be aggressive, and I basically got to take charge of whatever's happening. You know, and that chair, that Earth Wind chair, from Ralph Johnson to Freddie White to Sonny Emery, and now John Paris is playing. He came after me. It's like and Maurice was a drummer. Was a drummer. So it was like, all right, you gotta be aggressive and you gotta be like a man. You can't be timid. You gotta man up, and that's what I learned playing with them from the first rehearsal. They were like, no, you gotta be more deliberate in everything you're doing. If you're crashing, if you're playing soft, if we play jazz, sometimes we would swing on something. We playing whatever it is. It's like you got to be aggressive, and you got to be a man about it. And that's what that taught me.
Wow.
So every gig after that was just like, all right, I know what I need to do.
How did that pocket feel with Verdine?
It was
White,
amazing.
the bass player, yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing because he's bubbling like all the time. It's like it's almost on the edge of speeding up, but not. This is like right there, and it's like that. You know what I'm saying? The energy is crazy.
Is there ever a moment where you're telling yourself behind the kit, yo, I'm with Earth, Wind & Fire?
A number of times. Now, I guess is a cool thing about me, even though it's like all these years I've been listening to them and never thought I would ever have a chance to play with them. Once I'm in the moment, I don't really think about it. I'm just there. When I look back later, I'm like, yo, I played with Earth, Wind & Fire. Like, I talked to Maurice White a few times on the phone. Like, he called me one day and out the blue, and I'm like, yo, what up? And he's like, hey, this is Maurice White. I'm like, hello, sir. I straightened up real quick, all nervous and stuff. And it was just like, that's freaking Maurice White calling me on the phone.
tell the guys now that's trying to get work? How do they go about it?
Well, I honestly still think it's the same. And it's the way I got gigs. From at least, number one, you got to know somebody. Somebody has to know you and know your plan. And be like, you would be good for this gig. Can you do it? That's number one. But if you don't know anybody, what I would do, and I still do sometimes, after 25 years of being here, I go just sit in, wherever's a jam session. And when I first got here, you know, I'm trying to prove myself. So, and I wouldn't annoy the person, but I'd be like, you know, how you doing? Nice to meet you. I'm out here touring. You know, do you mind if I sit in? So a lot of the gigs I got, somebody saw me playing at a club. Pretty much Earth, Wind, and Fire, I got from playing at a club, pretty much. I used to play with Corny, Don Wyatt, and Ricky Rouse, this thing called Clueless, every Wednesday. And this guy, Robert Brookins, would come in every Wednesday and sit in with us. Every week, he would at least do one song with us. And Philip Bailey was looking for a drummer at one point, and Robert was the MD. He was like, man, we need a drummer from Philip to go to Japan. Can you do it? And I was like, yep. And if it wasn't for that club and him sitting in with us every week and him hearing me at the club, probably making $100, you know, that night, I would have never even been in that scope. And then from there, they called me for Earth, Wind, and Fire maybe 2 or 3 years later.
Do you still think it's important to have that package, which consists of the resume and, as you said, the video and so on and so forth, and shop that around? Do you think that's still important?
It kind of works. It does work because it looks like you're organized. And that's what you have to be in order to do a gig. You have to be organized. You have to be able to put stuff where it's supposed to be. You got to be on time, which means coming early. All that stuff has to be together because there's too many people and there's too much money at stake for you to not be reliable. You got to be a reliable person in general. So if you have a package, that means you have enough wherewithal to be organized and reliable, you know. So it looks good. I still say at the end of the day, they really need to see you, like, play. And that's the thing about, you know, people hit me like, how do I get on? I live in, like, Little Rock or I live in somewhere else. I'm like, you kind of got to be where the gigs originate. Most of the gigs originate either Atlanta, New York, and really L.A. All my New York friends, they always in L.A. rehearsing for a tour. Cool, man.
Thank you, brother.
Bro.
Appreciate it.
Gorden Campbell on drums.